Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. It's good to see all of you. I see there's some folks that I've never seen before, so um, assuming it's not your first time, but I'll just briefly introduce myself. I am Ashley. I've known Alice and like went through my Reiki training for several years. I feel like it's been like 10 years or something. And just recently started helping to facilitate these. Um, and basically, what I don't do the same thing each time. Like I facilitate meditation also, like in the past for work and stuff. But today I thought that we could do three things. The first thing are just sort of acupressure exercises. So, for those of you that are familiar with acupressure, it is very similar to acupuncture, meaning it uses the same points, except it's used just applying the pressure of your finger typically. So it's something that is like easy and accessible. You don't have to go to a practitioner, etc. So what that does is, because it works by allowing a greater flow of energy to flow along meridian points, it kind of like helps prepare us for meditation. So we're going to do a set of acupressure exercises first, and then move into something called purification breathing, which those of you who were there when I facilitated the last time, which is like a while ago now, know this purification breath is a part of a Reiki meditation called Hatsureho. And basically, it also acts to clear and dissolve blockages within the energy channels within us. And it also helps to like build and sustain the flow of energy and expand our auric fields, etc. And then the final thing that we'll do is a Reiki meditation for healing the inner child. This is something that came to me about a year ago, just when I think I wrote it down. But it actually incorporates an element of an inner child healing meditation that I got from you, Alice. So you'll recognize part of it. Um, Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Um, yeah, and so those are the three things that we'll do. If that sounds good to you, then we can just go ahead and get started. I am going to start by demonstrating the first exercises. And if you haven't already, you can go ahead and find a comfortable seat. It is ideal if you can keep your spine straight for these exercises, but it's not like, an absolutely critical thing. But the way that we're going to start, and then we're going to close our eyes, but you can start by leaving your eyes open so that you can just watch and follow what I'm doing. The first point, we're going to use our thumbs and start by placing your thumbs along the eyebrow line and just sort of move out until you reach your temples. So there should be a small indentation along the temple points on each side of your head. If you want to just go ahead and like give a gentle massage to your temples a few times, that can often feel nice. But this is the first point where our thumbs will be. And then the second point, we're going to use our middle fingers, which are healing fingers in acupressure. And if you just start at the center of both of your eyes and move up to the eyebrows, the center of the eyebrows, and then move up a little bit more, your middle fingers will rest about one finger up from where your eyebrows are. So it should be as if the distance up is like as if there was another finger in between where your fingers are now and your eyebrows. So these are 2 points that can be kind of lightly, very lightly touched. And then your final point, or just the pointer fingers, can just rest wherever they fall naturally. So this is our first set of points. And We're going to close our eyes in about a second, but if you just want to watch me, what we're going to do is draw our attention to our breathing. And on our inhales, we're going to move our elbows up and then hold the breath for about 2 seconds. And then on the exhales, you're going to release the elbows back down. So if you want to go ahead and close your eyes, this should just be gentle touches on your face, inhaling, holding for 2 seconds, then exhaling, releasing that back. So these are deep, gentle breaths. And again, the purpose of these deep breathing exercises are not only because they help to oxygenate us, so we're getting oxygen flowing into us, but with that oxygen comes prana. So pranic energy, which is the life force energy that, flows around us, also comes and helps to clear out these meridian lines and points. I'm just going to do a couple more. And last one. And you can allow your arms to rest. Just kind of wiggle your arms, stretch for a few moments before we move into the next point. And the next point is located in between the brow line. So it's the third eye chakra point. And this is a point that is really good for reducing anxiety and also helping improve our sleep. So you can use your thumb or you can use your middle finger again, whichever is easiest for you. I actually prefer the middle finger. Whenever you're ready, we're going to do the same thing here, applying pressure gently to the third eye, directly in between the eyebrows. When you're ready, you're going to inhale, moving your elbow up, holding and releasing at your own pace. If you don't want to move your elbow up because you're tired, your arm is tired, you can also just have it rest. No biggie. A few more times. Twice more. And final time. And you can release your arm, allowing it to rest again for a few moments. You might want to stretch out a bit to kind of rest into the increased energy flow that we're building. And our final acupressure point is just above the upper lip, in between the center of the upper lip and our nose. So this is another calming point. So it helps calm the mind and also restore focus. So it's a focus point as well. So whenever you're ready, and if you want to switch your arm if it's tired, that's also fine. We're going to do the same thing a few times at this point. Closing your eyes, inhale, hold, and exhale. So deep, energizing, strengthening breaths. 2 more times. Final time, and you can just release. And again, stretch if you need to. Next, we are going to transition into purification breathing. So, as you all take a few moments to rest, I'll just explain what it is and what it does. So, purification breathing is again done by drawing your attention to your inhales and exhales. What you can do on the inhales is you can imagine that the light of Reiki is entering through your crown chakra and moving down your shishimna, or the spine, into what is known as the tendon or the hara, which is basically where the navel chakra is, or sorry, yeah, the sacral chakra. Um, so the energy on the inhale is moving through the crown, and you can imagine, if it helps, to imagine it as a rainbow colored light, and it's resting in the hara. And then on the exhales, you're releasing the energy through every pore of your body. So every cell of the body, that energy is being released. So over time, you'll see that through visualizing this, you'll feel the energy start to grow and expand within you. The center of that energy center being at the hara, or this sacral chakra area. So whenever you're ready, you can rest with your palms up, and you can leave them on your knees or your thighs, whatever is most comfortable. And allow your eyes to close again. And for a few moments, just let your awareness be natural, spacious, and open. When you're ready, start by bringing that awareness to your hara, which is about the size of a grapefruit located beneath your navel. So on your inhales, imagine that stream of Reiki light coming down, moving through your body into your navel. And as it moves in, it is permeating and dissolving any blockages, energetic blockages, stuck emotions, memories, stress, and restoring your body and energy into perfect balance. On your exhales, that energy is radiating out from within you, purifying every cell and releasing back out into the atmosphere immediately surrounding your body. So, this is a cleansing process, purifying process to continue clearing your channels and radiating that Reiki energy from within you. See if you can feel on your exhales any subtle shifts, even if these are shifts that occur over time, meaning shifts in your energy field, or just if you feel different, lighter. Noticing any transitions that occur within us as we breathe in and radiate this Reiki energy back into the atmosphere. Some of you might start to notice tingling or warmth or other sensations. Whatever you notice is okay. Just allow your breathing to be natural. And also feel free to be careful not to hold the breath in between each inhalation and exhalation. We'll continue with these cleansing breaths for a couple more minutes. One more minute. Okay, and when you're ready, we can release this breathing exercise, returning to natural, relaxed breathing. You can bring your palms gently into prayer position in front of your heart. Just take a moment to bow your head in gratitude and notice and experience how you're feeling right now in this moment. And releasing our hands back as we transition into our final meditation, which is another Reiki meditation focused on healing our inner child or our inner children. Before we move into this exercise, I think we can just take a few more moments to kind of incorporate the breathing exercises and the exercises we've just done, ensuring that we are relaxed, noticing and observing how we feel When you're ready, you can close your eyes if they're not already closed again, drawing your attention back inward. This time, before we begin, we're going to set an intention and know that over the course of this meditation, just set an intention that we will be safe and we'll be with our spirit team. So there's nothing to worry about. Whatever arises is and will be for our benefit. So, having said that, you want to just go ahead and take 3 deep, slow breaths, feeling yourself relax even further on each exhale. Allowing and feeling yourself sink into your feet, your seat, and your bed, wherever you are. Your body is becoming more relaxed. Breathing is flowing naturally now, not shifting our breaths in any way. We're allowing ourselves to sit with what is. And the quality of our attention is that of a detached witness or quiet observer. When you feel ready, I'm going to ask that you be guided to a time in your childhood that has great importance or significance to who you are as a person now. So you can allow yourself to be guided to whenever and whatever emerges, allowing the image to form clearly and naturally in your mind. Just start to take note as this image becomes clear in this memory. Take notice of your surroundings, who is or isn't there. Also, just notice whatever it is that you're thinking or feeling at this time in your childhood. And whatever emerges, know that you're safe and are simply an observer to the memory that has arisen. And now, if they are not already present, we're going to invite our spirit team, so our spirit guides, angels, uh, whoever it is that we work with and that accompanies us over the course of our lives, can just go ahead and ask them the question of what that memory is here to show you. So, why has this particular memory emerged? Whatever is said or not said during this time is completely okay. And bringing the focus from this memory and your guides to now your younger self. I'm going to ask with great care and love, ask your younger self if there's something that they'd like to share with you from this time. So, what is it that they would like for you to know or to take away from this experience? Whatever is said and or not said is okay. And when you're ready, you can thank your younger self for what it is that they did or did not share. Then next, imagine that you, your spirit team, so these are all your angels, guides, whoever it is that you work with, and your younger self are now seated in a circle. So all of you are there together, and you're going to gently grab the hand of your younger self or your inner child on your left, and then the hand of whoever is closest to you in spirit from your spirit team on your right. Again, you're all in the circle together. So this might be a very large circle with who knows how many beings are there, but you're all there together holding hands as one team. And then in this big circle, you, your younger self, and your entire spirit team, imagine that you and your spirit team are sending Reiki through the circle to your younger self. So the Reiki is flowing from your hands, from the hands of all of your spirit team, together to your younger self. The energy is a healing energy that's being channeled from the greatest depths, meaning it's not just your energy, it's the energy of spirit, it's the energy of a whole team working together with your inner child. And as this Reiki and healing energy is being sent, notice how your younger self reacts and responds to the flow of energy between all of you. Again, anything you notice about this experience is perfectly okay. Any shifts that are occurring within your inner child or within you, any responses are simply there for you to witness. As this healing energy continues to be built within all of you, continue to observe the effects or the impressions that you receive for yourself or with the others in the circle, on your younger self. And then when you're ready, you can release your hands from both your younger self and your spirit team. And then just give a few moments sending gratitude, giving thanks to both your spirit team for their help and whatever guidance or impressions they might have shared with you. And also thank your younger self and bless them before releasing them to continue on with their journey. And slowly releasing, coming back from that circle in spirit. Can slowly take a few moments to start to come back, but as you're coming back and noticing and feeling in your body, um, and coming back into the room that you're in, take a few moments also to just reflect, if you'd like to, on the experience that you had, particularly with the inner child healing, just to reflect on what came up or didn't come up, and what that might mean for you now. So, again, it's not to necessarily make anything in particular out of the experience, but I sometimes find it helpful to incorporate after I've done a meditation like this, um, what it is that I just observed or didn't. I find that it helps me to integrate some of the information. You can slowly start to come back at the same time and stretch if you need to. Okay, so for those of y'all who are coming back, take your time. There's no rush. I see that Corinne has asked a question. Are we interested to do a private Reiki share? I'm always interested in a Reiki share, so it's yes for me. Welcome back, everyone. Again, come back at our own pace, but if for those who want to share, I think this is the way we've been doing it, right? Is like we're on camera unless you don't want to be on camera or like you don't want to be recorded, and then I can turn off the recording. Um, but why don't I just go ahead and start? So this is alphabetical order, it looks like for me, or it's just like Alice is first on my screen. So I'm gonna start with you, Alice.
Thank you, Ashley. Yeah, if you're going to go in alphabetical order, I'll always be first. So, right next to you. And anyway, one of the things that well, surprised me and didn't surprise me with the inner child work. I think obviously I have some more inner child work to do, um, but there was a certain rigidity that I felt as I looked at the fourth grader that showed up for me, and it was the only birthday party that my parents ever gave me was one in the fourth grade. And I stood there and I felt awkward and I felt self-conscious, and that kind of carried over into certain parts of my adult life. And so that was interesting because it felt like, oh, this is kind of where I cemented that feeling of awkwardness and self-consciousness. So that's the year that I have to work on. And the irony was that was the same year that I gave my first piano recital, which I absolutely loved. And I was very, very good at that point because I had a piano at home that I practiced on. So that surprising in both respects. So thank you. Thank you very much for the progression too.
Interesting for sharing. Okay, so next we have Anna. Yes. Anna.
Hello, thank you. That was beautiful for me. It brought back a childhood experience of abandonment for me. So in the process, I got to forgive some people. Um, and it felt strong having my spirit guides beside me to stand with me in that. Um, so very emotional, really oral. The oral character showed up for me. In that process, the child was very needy and didn't know what to do. So for the inner child to come back and really reflect and have the spirit guides near me, it was just amazing and powerful. I cried the whole time. So I needed that. To forgive some people in that process. So thank you, Ashley, and thanks, Alice. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Mhm.
Okay, so Carol.
Hi, everyone. I was brought to, I'm a little under weather today, so my voice is kind of scratchy. But I was brought to when I went to the hospital when I was 5 years old. And instead of bringing teddy bears, I brought my rocks. And everybody thought that was kind of weird, but that gave me strength. And so what it reminded me was that I am strong and I'm resilient. And so even though I've been a baby this weekend about being sick, I will get through it. And the experience of being in the circle with my inner child and my masters and spirits and departed loved ones was so beautiful. I could feel the love just flowing around in the circle and all the energy. And it was really a great experience for me.
Great. Thank you so much, Carol. Christina says, I love that you brought a rock with you to the hospital. Yeah, I also think that's really funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think next is Christina Kunkel.
Yes, it was a beautiful experience for me as well. Kind of a bittersweet experience because it did bring up a time when we were going on vacation and we stopped at a gas station and my dad left. And we were forced to figure out what to do as a family. And so when I was in the circle, I need to revisit it and bring him into the circle and do some forgiveness work. But it was really beautiful because that child was receiving such warmth and recognition and attention and love. And what I recognized was that in that experience and in those kind of experiences, that's when I think I decided I needed to be in control of relationships so I didn't get hurt and abandoned. And now I can release that a little bit more and, observe that that's the patterning. And I've done inner work like this, but it's so layered. There are still so many layers to release and heal. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing. And Charlene, I think I skipped you. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah. Thank you, Ashley. That was beautiful. All of the meditations. I really enjoyed the acupressure. I do some acupressure myself, but I hadn't done that sequence with the breathing in quite the same way. And I really liked that. That was very restorative. I was on a road trip yesterday in the car for about 9.5 hours and drove the whole time myself and I didn't realize how tired this made me until today and when I woke up. So this was very restorative for me. Thank you. Yeah, and the inner child, I've done a lot of inner child work, both, just over the years. My sister does that kind of work for her living. And so she's helped me with it over the years. But this is the third time I've come back to this particular incident. And really, I really liked the perspective of asking, well, first of all, just bringing in my guides and seeing them with me as a child, because I hadn't really done that before, either as a child or as an adult, saying they're all there with me. I've had maybe one-on-one exchanges where a certain archangel would come in at a certain time in my life when I'm doing child work, but not the whole troop, not all the troops. And that was really great. That was really meaningful. And yeah, this for me, the moment, to use Alice's word, kind of cemented my lack of self-confidence. It was a humiliating, horrible experience in first grade. And it just was the root of a profound sense of lack of self-confidence. So my child self looked at me very sternly and said, "Don't wait for others to tell you what you need for yourself." With her little fist clench, it was really funny. It wasn't funny, but it was like, okay, gotcha. I got you. Okay, we're gonna do this now. So it was, very profound. So thank you for the experience. I appreciate it.
Okay, Corinne, did you want to share?
Okay, my experience was strong too. It showed me that I had my guides all the time with me, but I didn't really realize, of course. And I had to go through a lot of stuff when I was a child alone. And it showed me again alone that I'm strong, that I have to think, that I have to believe in myself and not listening to the other people who are telling me I have to do this, do that, and just believe in myself and in my power, and I will make it through where I need to go. So that was really nice. That was very strong too. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Hmm.
Um, Danielle?
Hi. I know there's sometimes two Danielles, so I was waiting to see which one you were calling on. I had a really nice experience. Now this isn't to say I'm listening to your stories and I'm like, I'm going to tell them about my experience, and these people are going to think I've never had any traumas or problems. I have, but for some reason, that's not where my mind went. It went to a slightly, I want to say, random experience of being, I had this babysitter, and her name was Miss Logan. And she lived in the upper 50s near First Avenue. And this must have been first or second grade. And in this experience, I remember I sat there for a portrait she did of me. And I had on my patent leather party shoes and my favorite dress. And my hair was long and down and tied with this little bow. And I was just sitting there steadily. And in recalling this memory, I was recalling how she was really terrific. She had a wall that was mirrored because we do dance in front of it. And she created puppets. And she had this little art studio room and we created puppets together. And she had a water bed that she would tell me when we were sewing, don't stick the needle in there because it'll leak. But I think it was just a moment where I was feeling real contentment with myself. And I asked my younger self, what are you trying to show me? Oddly, my younger self was saying, I want to show you my pretty patent leather party shoes that I'm wearing. And she was going on about her shoes and how pretty she felt in her dress and how much she liked the space that she was in. So I am coming to terms. Recently, I was thinking about things like aging and what's happening in my body and what's happening in my skin and what it's like being middle-aged and going through what I'm going through. And it was nice to feel pretty again for that moment. But I think also that remembering this time of being very creative and creating these things and dancing and movement and making these puppets, how much of that beauty and creativity was in my life during that period. And maybe that's something I need to bring back. Or I need to get myself a pair of Mary Janes. I don't know.
Either or. Thanks, Danielle. Next up is Judy, I think.
Ashley, did you just call my name?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you. Well, mine would be a downer after that lovely story, so I'm not going to do that. I'm absolutely in mourning right now for the loss of my 25-year-old niece that very unexpectedly died the other night in a horrible car accident in California. So my day yesterday was absorbing that and getting down to my sister and all our family and this shock and disbelief of my losing my 30-year-old nephew, her brother, in October. My brother-in-law, her father, on the day of my nephew's birthday, January 10th, crossing the street and getting hit by a car and literally being fractured from head to toe. And it's a miracle he survived, only to now for them as parents not only have lost their oldest child, Michael, and now Samantha, our beautiful girl. How much pain can a family take? Why does somebody have to suffer so? And will my sister make it through this? And I really, really don't know. And we're all in fear of that right now. So when I created this circle, it was about when my mother left my father. So I was about 8 years old. And I just remember her not talking to us girls that she was going to do this, or my father, he went to an empty home, no one there. She moved us to this apartment in a horrible section of town that when we drove through with my grandparents, I remember saying, I feel so sorry for the children that live here, that would be their playground. There's no trees or ponds or hills. And then found out that was going to be my reality. But I just saw myself as this little girl, remembering when my father found us and coming and knocking at the door, and my mother not letting him in to talk to us. And it was that traumatizing. And what just was coming to me as I then just became the observer and not that little girl looking up but looking down, was how important communication is. Why did my mother not be able to communicate, to say this marriage isn't working, to try to fix it? Why did she feel such a need to escape without him knowing where we were, since he's never harmed us in any way? And it just came through to me so much about the love and how important it is to talk, and to never not talk about your feelings or share. And especially with children, they need to not have the rug pulled out under them. And as my circle grew, first it was Mary holding my hand, my inner child, then it was Jesus, and then I had my Archangel Ariel, and then it just kept growing with all my family, and my Samantha, like her face was right in front of me. And then the song, for every season, turn, turn, turn. That was one of the songs that was done, that my mother had chosen. And when my mother passed away, so I knew that that was my mother being there. And then I saw my mother, and I saw my niece, and I saw my nephew, and it was very powerful. I almost couldn't come out of it. And just circling and just sending this love to all the family, to everybody. And just knowing that we are all connected, we all share these pains, and then we always have to imprint. My philosophy is that we always have to imprint these happy memories as they're happening, so we don't only remember the day as sorrow. So then happy things would come too, because I make that happen so that it becomes a balance. So when we look at that day, my children won't be traumatized. Like when I had to tell them this, I did it when my son, I knew he was out cow cuddling out in the Finger Lakes in New York. So I kind of added that. So we look at the pictures of him cow cuddling, and I'm showing the cow cuddling to the family down there, so that you just get this laughter and this smile. And then we would go back to the next, and then the next thing. And then I'm picking from 2 years ago, pictures that my niece took of us, the selfies. And so that's what I fell asleep just looking at her beautiful face, took mine out and just looking, and that was the face that came now. And when I had to tell my daughter just is alone in New Hampshire. I'm going up for graduation Thursday, and I didn't want to tell her on graduation day. So I thought, I got to tell her now. And she just started crying, and she's like, why so violently? Because of this horrible car accident and what happened to her uncle with this car accident. And I knew with clarity that she did not suffer. So I told Sarah, I promise you, sweetheart, it was so fast. She was in her van out in the mountains by Oregon in California with her dog in the car and possibly a turkey in the back seat. So she kind of giggled at that, and this is true. And I said, and she couldn't understand how the dog could survive, but not Samantha. But I said, just because she don't know why she wasn't wearing her seatbelt. Everyone, please wear seatbelts, even if you're running for a second somewhere. And it really could be the difference. But I promised my daughter Sarah that she felt no pain, that it was like she was just in the van that she loved with her dog that she loved, and this possible turkey. So she'd giggle in the blue sky and the trees and the mountains, going back to the farm that she lives on and takes care of animals. And that she went not knowing that she was just there 1 minute in her element, in the beauty, and right to heaven. And so we have that the cow, the little turkey, all these little things that we just put on top of a story so that we can have that little giggle and remember a cow or a turkey. I know it might sound very silly, but I guess having a mother that didn't communicate feelings with me helped me in ways that I was like, how can I possibly tell my children? And the moments were just right when I was telling them. And my other two sons are down in Virginia right now, while my daughter-in-law is in Texas. So we weren't all together to be able to hug and all, but then I told my other son, and he said he would tell his brother, because I didn't want my grandchildren to have to hear yet another horror story of what's going on in this family in these past couple of months. It just doesn't seem to end. So the communication, seeing myself as this hurt little girl who could have just become very reclusive and very guarded and not shared, and instead I grew up more of, how can I help somebody? If there was only one person I helped, then my life was worth living. And I truly believe that. And it's all that I could say to people that were suffering, and young girls, and we all seem to be attuned to Reiki as well. So that was powerful. And the only thing that I could give as my honest answer of why we have to suffer this way is that we are spirit in this physical body, and we have chosen the lessons that we need to learn on this earth, our learning experience. That it gives me the biggest faith, because I deeply believe that every lesson we need to learn, we have chosen and agreed to. Every person that is in our lives, we have chosen to be with. And I was able to give my other niece, Christina, this heartfelt, because she just said, I'm giving up. I don't have faith. I'm going to lose it. I feel like I need to talk to you. So that's kind of wrapping up that communication. And then from the heart, that this is how I feel and can believe in, not telling somebody what to do. So I didn't even know if I would be able to come on today. And then when you did the meditation and the meridians, and it's so natural, that's my everyday. And then to do this inner child work, to see that image pop up, and was very powerful. And to kind of release that and forgive my mom. She handled it in whatever way she wanted. And then hearing that song, just I knew she was here in spirit. Everybody. So Ashley and this group, with all your powerful energy, I want to thank you from my heart. And I knew I was going to need that big old rock that I think Carol probably had a bunch, maybe not that big in the hospital. So we hold on to what we can, that gives us strength, and whatever that is, to always know, as you said, as I think Corrine said, we were never alone. Our angels, our spirit guides are always around us. There's that saying with Jesus, like, how could you have done this in the footprints? That's when I was picking you up and Jesus was walking. And I know I rambled, so I'm going to stop now. Thank you so much. We're always where we're supposed to be, with the people we need to be when we need to. And I am so grateful and so thankful for this group and the love. And we always seem to know whoever's meditating or whoever speaks in their stories, it's what we need for that day. And I thank you so much. And thank you, Ashley, for my first ever inner child work. And I thank you. And I'm such gratitude to you all.
Thank you so much, Judy. Thank you, truly, for sharing all of that. I'm so sorry for that experience that happened, and you and your family are in my prayers, truly. But I'm also really glad that you were able to come, and that you already know that your spirit team is with you and with the family, and that you've already been able to make some of those connections. So I think that that's so important. And yes, just sending my gratitude back to you. Yeah, so I think we just have Julie and Lisa and Paula.
Hi. Is there any way not to be recorded? Is that okay?
Sure. Yes, I can pause. Okay, so I'm return the recording back on. And if you don't want it, I can pause it again, no problem. So I think we have Lisa.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Ashley. This has been really groundbreaking for me. I've always had a issue with overeating, and I didn't know really what the connection was. There was a void in me, like an insatiable need to feel something, but I didn't know exactly what it was. So my inner child took me to a place at the park where my mom was seated, and we were playing games that we always loved to do. It was just us. And little Lisa said, it's their suffering. It's always been their suffering. You've always said that you were a failure for never taking your mother out of a depressing time. But that was her option, her decision. And so with that, I feel that I could refill myself knowing that it's okay to let go. My mom and dad are fine. I don't have to worry about them. And I can refill myself now to how I want to live. So that was really beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And goodbye, Christina. It's nice seeing you. Next is Paula.
Yeah. Hi, Ashley. Thank you so much for leading today. And Alice, thank you for the group. Ashley, I like your pace, giving us kind of like nice, not rushing us through it and giving us some time. So thanks for that. On the inner child, it's funny because I've been doing work on that myself just the last week or two. And you know, I have some tough childhood memories. And so, what came to me today was actually a good memory, and it was me. I was like, it was about 7, I think, and I got my first bicycle, and it was like, it's funny because while people were talking, I kind of went on eBay and Googled to see if I could find an image of it, and somebody's trying to sell that bike for $2,200 now on eBay. Too bad I didn't keep it. But anyway, I had this like Schwinn, and it was like lemon yellow, and it had like a long banana seat and a backrest thing that came up. It was very 1970s. I was a really cool kid on my little bike. I had a really cool bike. And the thing that came to me about it was a happy memory because it was like me getting my freedom. I could get away from my mom and my sisters who were not nice to me. And I could just get on my bike and like go, and I could go to the neighbors, or I could, you know, just tool down the street or whatever. And I had that sense of freedom and adventure. And so I was kind of and so I was like, why am I, you know, and so I'm being reminded that that's like really important to me. Um, to have freedom and to I'm an explorer kind of personality, and so I like to go on adventures. And so I had just done one yesterday. Actually, I live in Denver, and I moved here right before the shutdown, so I pretty much spent like a year in my house in a city I don't know. And so yesterday I had found on PBS this group, a nonprofit down in southern Colorado. It's about a 2.5 hour drive, and they have this historic home from one of those early settlers of Colorado that they've saved and redone, and they use it to teach children about the history of Colorado, and also to teach children about they have a program about raising food and gardening and teaching children how to, you know, where our food comes from and how to grow things. And so I went down and they had a volunteer day, and they were super nice to me. And I had just the best time. I got to drive across a gorgeous state that I haven't even been through, like through the Rockies, and then coming back through some kind of deserty canyon. So it was, so I had fun. It was like that reminder that I like to go on adventures. It was good for me. Um, and I just wanted to share, I think Christina has left now, but for anyone, because I've done a lot of work, I have had to do a lot of inner child work. And so people should know that trauma and PTSD, they aren't necessarily just for the soldier where the roadside bomb goes off. There's an idea called complex PTSD. And that's what I personally think I have and suffer from. And so rather than like one horrible traumatic thing that gets stuck and you're trying to overcome, like complex PTSD is almost like death by a thousand cuts. It's no one major event. It's just like a whole series of little mini traumas that you had. Like she said, I think you know, anything you just didn't recover from. And so a lot of people that grew up in households that either it could be physical abuse, it could be sexual abuse, or it could even just be emotional abuse if you had parents that just weren't loving and supportive of you and made you feel if they took away your own sense of soul and self-worth, you know, by their words, by their actions. People have talked about, you know, being left behind at whatever, like these things that parents do that maybe they don't even mean badly, or the mom that couldn't communicate what was going on. I mean, we had that in my family too. And so all those things as a child, you're like, oh my God, you know, because your life is dependent on these people who are acting erratically, like, okay, they didn't tell you what's going on or they left you behind. And those things for children are just so traumatic because you're counting on these people to care for you. So if anybody's interested, there's a really good book by a guy named Pete Walker. And I think it's called Complex PTSD from Surviving to Thriving, I believe is the name of it. And it's an excellent book. And he talks about how these other sorts of traumas, sometimes people, including ourselves, will minimize them and just go like, oh, no big deal. You know, that happens to everybody, normal childhood. Um, and they shouldn't be minimized. Like, these are real things that we suffered, and our psyche was wounded. So he not only explains that, but he has a really good practical advice about some things you can do to kind of learn things that trigger you and put you back to that childhood moment, of the birthday party, or wherever, me and my bike, and that can kind of help people recognize that and then have better coping skills as an adult for how to deal with it. And I think one thing that can be really helpful when you're asking questions, if you do work like this of the inner child, is to ask yourself, okay, now that I'm at the scene, and like you said, I'm the observer, it can be helpful to ask yourself, like, now with my adult mind, what do I realize about that situation that I couldn't understand as a child? Because I think taking yourself back, but now with your wisdom and knowledge as an adult, you can see, like, oh, okay, my mom was trying her best, or oh, my dad didn't really mean to do that, or oh, this person, they themselves were an injured child, and so they were lashing out, whatever. Just to kind of bringing your adult perspective to that moment can be helpful, I think, sometimes. Um, but anyway, I also want to say, Judy, I'm sorry for your family, and I will pray for your sister, and for a healing there. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. It's terrible. Too many traumas at once. Talk about some trauma. Talk about trauma. So anyway, thank you very much, everybody.
And thank you, Paula, so much for sharing that perspective, and also the book. That did remind me. I think the part of, like, when I first did this meditation, and like I said, it's something that kind of came to me like a year ago, but what was happening was that I realized that a lot of my anxieties and fears that I had just existed from the time that I was a child up until like very recently, were part of it was just because I was really sensitive, and I didn't realize like how
an empath, maybe.
Perhaps, yes. Yeah. So perhaps that how sensitive that I actually was. Like I didn't get that, and so I feel like I had a realization that yes, with children, and I don't have any children yet, at least, but I feel like, being sensitive is like so important, and sensitive, energetically, emotionally, psychologically, etc. Because I feel like I am just understanding the impacts of that, of unintentional, I guess, complex trauma. And even Alice, you were just saying, so Alex said that before we got on this call that my dad came through. My dad passed away like the end of 2019, very suddenly, but he had a message around like he's remorseful for being cold or something. Da, da, da. I didn't realize that I was even that impacted by that until like a couple of years ago. And I just attributed it was not something that was intentional on his part. I just thought that was like the best he could do. That's like what I concluded. So I didn't even realize that I was like, that I felt resentful or anything like that. But anyhow, I digress. Danielle, I see your hand is raised.
I was going to say, additionally, for in terms of trauma and minimalizing it, is very often that happens when you grow up around people who have suffered much bigger trauma, let's say immigrant families who have come, or Holocaust survivors. Any little trauma you have about cookies or your parents not picking you up was always meant with, excuse me, wait, let me show you my numbers. And, what trauma do you have? So I can understand that whole minimalizing is something that you wind up doing a lot. And I love the explanation that sometimes it's, it's still a form of trauma. Even if you twist your ankle, you haven't broken your leg, but if you haven't healed from it, it still needs healing. It's still, you've hurt yourself. So I appreciate the definitions and the clarity on those, on what trauma can be.
Yeah, I don't think people mean bad when some people don't mean bad when they try to minimize, like, yeah, if you're a Holocaust survivor and you have a number tattooed on your arm, you've probably had trauma different than I have, or anybody maybe that's on this call. But trauma is still trauma, and we should be able to recognize, it's not a competitive thing, like, oh, my wounds are worse than yours. It's like, your wounds are your wounds, right? And we're each on an individual journey, I think, to heal. And so I think it's unfortunate when people try to make a comparative thing like, oh, pshaw, you know, like that thing wasn't terrible for you because it was terrible for you. Even, you know, you weren't in a gas chamber, but it was still something that stuck in your psyche. And I think we should all try to heal ourselves, and healing ourselves is what enables us to have that capacity to allow other people to be where they are on their path, you know, and not judge them for doing. In my case, my abusers minimize it because they don't want to face what they did, and so they're like, "Oh, that, you know, we had a great childhood. What are you talking about?" My sisters, and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, wasn't my experience. Sorry." And to me, that's a lot of what have had to learn a lot about gaslighting, because that's what my family, that's gaslighting, and telling somebody like, "Oh no, your childhood was fantastic," when that wasn't my experience. I mean, and my experience was real to me, and so when people try to alter other people's experiences, then you kind of have to go, oh, okay, that person is gaslighting for some reason. You know, we shouldn't question each other's experiences. So, anyway.
Okay, so it looks like we've lost a few. I think there was Sherry, but I don't see her anymore. So I think that's everyone. Thank you all so much again for being here and for sharing this space. I agree with, I think it was Judy that said that we do the meditation that, you know, we're supposed to, and whoever comes is who is supposed to come that day. So I also believe that. And yeah, it was so good to be in community with all of you and to share. Thank you for sharing your experiences. And yeah, thank you, Alice. I have no idea what time it is. Okay, I think we're good. But if anyone doesn't have anything else to share, I thank you, Corinne, also for sharing your email address.
Yes, that's what I was, because I'm still interested to have maybe like a private Reiki share where we can train on, because this is what I said too with Miss Alice last time, that I would like to have more training on, because I don't want to do the master class and not be trained on, not knowing what really I'm doing. So I think that would be very nice if I can find a group where I can really share the Reiki too with me. That would be nice. Yes, that's why I wrote my email over there. If somebody is interested, just can text me, and I will be happy to have Reiki with you, ladies.
Okay, and if you can also get your email from Alice.
Excuse me?
I just said if we lose it, because I'm just thinking of like, I guess we can copy and paste it right now, but otherwise, like, we can also, like, Alice will have your contact info.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so
There's
much,
a way,
ladies.
guys. There's a way to save the chat if anybody's ever interested and somebody posts something. I think, I don't know if I'm on a PC, but if you go at the bottom of the chat by the word you know, there's like where you can start a message and there's 3 little dots. If you click on that, it says save chat.
Okay, I did it.
So if anybody ever posts like this book or an email address or some information, you can just save it.
That's a good thing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Bye, everybody. Have a wonderful Sunday.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Good day.
Thank you. You too, guys.
Thank you. And thank you, Ashley. That was wonderful and so needed. You know, we obviously, you know, like you said, spirit brings the right meditation for the right group, for the right situation. And I think for Judy, this was immensely important. You know, I mean, that so much heartache, the loss of 3 people in 4 months or 3 months or something like that, you know, so just amazing. You know, so anyway, but Carol, great to see you, even though you didn't feel good.
Yeah.
Great to see that you came. and Ashley, that was wonderful. Thank you again. And
Yeah.
Corinne, you will, you know, I think as people think about it, okay, we did the save chat. So, you know, they can always go on the, because this is always posted on my personal website. And
okay.
every
All right.
Okay. All right, sweetie.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good night. Nice Sundays to you, ladies.
Thank you, Ashley. It was very wonderful.
Yeah, it truly was.
Yes.